We are here today at the Community Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma, and joining us is Eileen Bradshaw, and you're the executive director here. Eileen, can you tell us about this place? We've got a lot of food here, but you guys also serve a lot of people.
Yes, we're glad to have you here today. So this warehouse and other warehouses come together to serve the 24 eastern counties of Oklahoma. We serve the equivalent of about 330,000 meals each and every week. So there's that much need, which is kind of astounding.
Yeah, and so your range goes all across eastern Oklahoma?
Yeah, state line to state line, the eastern 24 counties, so all the way down.
So how much does this food turn over? I mean, is this headed out today, or?
Some of it will. It's amazing how quickly food comes in and out of here. We do an average of about, I think, 7.5 warehouse turns each year, and this is about a 78,000 square foot facility. So to give you a little perspective, if we didn't receive any more food, though, this warehouse would be empty in just a matter of weeks.
Wow, and you guys have large refrigerator storage and also freezer storage back there for frozen and other foods. One of the big aspects that you're trying to increase is your fresh food produce. Can you talk about what percentage that makes up in the food you supply, and where does that come from?
Absolutely. We know that for folks who struggle with food insecurity, fresh produce is a lot of time the first thing they have to cut. So we try to put that back in for health reasons. Last year, about 38% of what we distributed was fresh, and year-to-date numbers have increased 24% over last year. It's a deliberate push. We want people to have access, but it can be a challenge too. We are blessed to have big refrigeration units, but not all of our partners are. So sometimes we're working really hard to get it out just in time so that people can get it home and get it on their tables.
And now, of course, obviously, if we have local foods that are being provided, then that gives you a little bit more time to distribute that versus some of the other foods. Is that correct?
That is so correct. The closer to home, we can get the produce, the longer the life, either here or in the homes of the end users. So, local produce is kind of the pearl of great price for us. We get a lot of wonderful produce that gets donated and trucked in from Washington State or Florida, depending, and we're grateful for that, but nothing is quite as precious as the stuff that we get close to home.
And are there certain quantities that somebody can donate, or can home gardeners also donate to you
We
through
love
the plant
home
to grow
gardeners.
and things?
We have gardeners who've been doing that for years, and we're really grateful. We have people that come in, when you talk about quantity, we have people that come in with a handful of spring onions, and we have people that come in and they have to have dollies to bring in their yield. So it's a huge spectrum, but we're grateful for all of it, and we use all of it.
Okay, so I know a lot of home gardeners, they'll plant a few squash or zucchini, and by the end of the season are giving it away. So you guys would be more than happy to take that off of their hands.
We would be thrilled. And a lot of times I think home gardeners feel like there must be some regulation that we can't accept their produce. That's not the case. We're more than able to accept it, distribute it, use it in our kitchen to go out and feed the hungry. We have a wonderful example here of the Jewish Community Center, which has a big garden that they planted expressly to support the hungry.
Oh, wow.
So they bring in large quantities, and then we have, some, like I said, some really cute little people that come in with the abundance of zucchini or the extra cucumbers. We have one woman that has a nut tree and an apricot tree in her yard. She lives in a residential neighborhood here in Tulsa, but every year she calls and she goes, "It's time to come pick," because she, before they were just going into her yard as bird food. So now, she calls us and we go and harvest that for her. And so it's, it's
and
a wonderful
nuts are
thing.
expensive, so
Nuts are a great source of protein. They're very expensive. It's pecans.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled with that.
Excellent. So what can somebody do if they're not close to the food bank here? If they're kind of away in a more rural area, how can they help with this problem and get that food from their garden into the food banks?
Unfortunately, hunger spreads throughout our 24 county service area. So if you live in a community and you want to help locally, it's too far to get produce here, you can go on our website or you can call us. We can match you up with a partner that can distribute that produce to the hungry right in your own backyard. Okay. And we'd love that. We love getting those calls. And we don't get as many outside of Tulsa, so we were sitting by the phone ready to answer.
Okay, and I believe there's even some tax benefits for people.
Absolutely.
If they donate.
Yes, they can fair market value. It's a tax deduction. We're a 501c3. We can receipt that. for the home gardener as easily as we can the corporate donor.
Yeah, so there is some benefit to
yes, actually,
for both sides.
Benefit to being that kind, absolutely.
Excellent. So now it doesn't just take those producers to bring food. In order for this to work and successfully distribute the food, you need volunteers and all sorts of things. So if you're not a gardener, how can somebody else get involved?
If you're not a gardener, you can come in and you can still have a produce project. If you think about the groceries that you and I might buy in the store, every time a human hand touches it, the price goes up. So we have volunteers coming in, and we get giant totes of apples or grapefruit or onions, and they'll come in and put them in 5 or 10 pound bags for us. We can't afford to buy 5-pound bags of apples, but we can afford the tote. So the human hands make it where we can really get good produce, and it can go out in a quantity that's, more manageable for people. So
Fantastic.
That's a wonderful service that the volunteers provide. Those aren't only projects we do, but volunteers are critical to our operation bottom line. Last year, they saved us about $1 million in payroll.
Wow.
I don't have an extra $1 million, so we're very grateful
That's
for that.
a vital entity.
It's
the
huge.
Volunteer group, yeah. And you work with all ages and stuff, I believe?
I think on a regular day, volunteers can be as young as 11, but we have family night where 8 and up can come in, and we have projects that are best suited for younger people. But we have a garden here at the food bank that people can come, and you can bring your 3-year-old to come and help pull weeds or, look at worms or plant things. So if you have a really exuberant child who's under 8, there are ways for them to volunteer, just not in the warehouse.
Right, or if you're living in an apartment, you just don't have the space to do a garden, but you want to, you can come down here and help with that.
I would love to hear from those people. Yes, we have a wonderful garden, but it takes constant attention. And so if you have pent-up demand, if you used to garden and you're in an apartment or a smaller home, we can help you with that.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, and it's a great thing that you guys are doing here.
Thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.